Whether we are aware of it or not, color has a massive impact on our subconscious mind. It affects everything, from the kind of mood we're in to the things that we buy at the store. In this video, we will explore how color affects emotion, childhood behavior and development, and our perceptions of atmosphere in a space. The meanings we associate with colors have two different sources: learned associations and biologically ingrained responses. We can learn to associate colors with different meanings by seeing them paired together over and over again as we go about life normally. Besides subconsciously pairing colors with meaning, we are also naturally inclined to view some colors in certain ways, which carries over from survival instincts of our biological ancestors. For example, many poisonous plants and animals are brightly colored to signal danger and predators. In the same way, signs for hazardous material or situations are also typically brightly colored to signify undesirable circumstances.
So as we already know, color can affect our emotions in different ways. Have you ever thought about the different flags and how they represent or affect our emotions in different ways? As I looked at this certain category involving colors and how it affects our emotions through flags, I read that countries create flags to express a symbol, independence, and sovereignty for a country. Many countries choose certain colors for their flags to represent a battle or conflict they faced. So I created my own flag to show the use of color and showcase how it makes people feel. If you look at the majority of the national flags, you can see that the color red is really prevalent in all kinds of countries and their flags. Red is an aggressive color, so when people see the color, they often think danger. Sometimes they think of love, but mostly in our society today, they think of danger. Now, the color red could also, as I mentioned, represent love. So for my own flag, we thought about using the color black, green, and blue. So here's what that looks like. So I chose those colors because black represents power, blue represents loyalty, and then we also chose green, which represents renewal. And so that's why we chose to have a more peaceful instead of aggressive flag.
As mentioned earlier in this video, color does affect emotion. We are surrounded by color every day, so sometimes it is hard to understand how it affects us. To help with getting a little bit of an understanding, I will share a little bit of information on how we perceive color. As I quote from the article that I conducted my research on, it quotes, "During the process of perceiving colors, an associated feeling or emotion is induced in the brain, a color emotion. The human eye perceives color as a stimulus in the form of light, and the further brain processes that perception with the result that feelings and emotions are evoked. We also must understand that there are different aspects of color. Color isn't seen as being one thing, like blue being blue or red just being red. There is much more to color, like hue, saturation, wavelength, tone, and etc. All of these things in some way influence how we see color. Knowing how we perceive color can also influence how the interior design of buildings and rooms are chosen. Color rooms do affect our emotion. In the topic that I searched, I learned that some colors in interior designs can have a significant effect on our emotion. For example, in the experiments that scientists and psychologists conducted, they learned that color can also influence how the interior designs of buildings and rooms are chosen. Color rooms do affect our emotion. In the topic that I searched, I learned that some colored interior designs could have a significant effect on our emotion. For example, in the experiments that scientists and psychologists conducted, they learned that cooler color rooms, like blues and greens, made people feel more relaxed, peaceful, and the rooms more spacious. On the other hand, warmer colors had the opposite effect on emotion. Brighter colors like reds and orange caused people to have a higher arousal and made rooms seem smaller. And surprisingly for a few people, yellow rooms made them feel sad. Black rooms were also associated with the feeling of having strength or power.
Oftentimes, we associate certain colors with emotions. An article by Jennifer Figet states that certainly such color-emotion pairing fits our folk knowledge. As it expressed in our linguistic metaphor, in English we talk about feeling blue, being green with envy, or turning red in the face. But do these color-emotion pairing reflect the structure of emotions themselves? Two different emotion theories make two very different predictions. Oftentimes, we attach strong emotions with colors, such as anger for red or blue for sadness. Some colors have contradictory emotions attached to them, depending on the experience or memory. The color red can be seen as anger or love. Blue can be seen as peace, calm, or sadness. We experience color, especially in spaces where there is a large quantity of color. We feel those emotions in a deeper level. Places like restaurants or gathering spaces use the psychology of color to their advantage, whether in colors they use for their spaces or in the menus or advertisements. Color is especially helpful in advertising industry because our memory of how a certain color from a logo or a restaurant or a store stays with us. In branding, this aspect of color is significant because they want consumers to always remember their brand. Okay.
More recently, research has systematically examined for specific colors that children used in drawing production tasks for topics that may provoke positive or negative emotions. It has repeatedly shown that children between the ages 4 and 14 years tend to use color to show the types of temporary feelings they hold towards the drawn figures and in relationship to color preferences. For example, when children feel positively towards a human figure, they tend to use more preferred colors to color in when they are asked to draw a figure. An experimental session took place in a quiet room at a children's school. The experimenter introduced her or himself and explained the card tasks. They said, "We're going to play a game with cards that have photos of men and women on them. In these photos, you can see their faces. By looking at their faces, you have to guess if they feel good or bad. To say if a person seems to feel good or bad, you see these two boxes in the front of you. In one box, you put all the photos of people who seem to feel good." And the experimenter showed and pointed to one of the boxes in front of the children. And in the other one, the experimenter points to the other box, people who seem to feel bad. The result yielded by the card sorting task suggests that the children in the study associated the color red with negative valence. And when the faces were displayed against a red background rather than green or gray, they were more often categorized in expressing negative feelings. Finally, to assess the children's preferences for the colors they used, their experimental session ended with a preference task. Participants had to categorize 3 faceless color cards, i.e. red, gray, and green, on a large sheet of paper divided into 3 columns. Colors that I don't like at all, are okay, and I really like. They could put 1 or more colors in each column. There was no specific preference, except that the red and green both appeared to be liked and gray to be disliked, particularly by the youngest children. Like adults, children associate the color red with negative meaning. This was true across all the 5 through 10-year-old range. Children, like adults, have strong associations to color and emotion. So, I challenge you to look at a color and try to see what emotion it provokes.